Hey everybody, welcome back to another deck profile Friday. And this one is going to be from the newest Pokemon Sword and Shield sets, Silver Tempest. And we are going to be talking about Regidrago VStar. You know, through the openings and, through a couple quick purchases that I've made from people in my local area, I was able to put together the deck, and I've been playing it for about a week or so, and there's some things that I do like about it, and there's some things that I don't like about it, right? Now, I also wanted to mention right from the get-go is that this list I'm about to show you, this is not a good list, right? There was numerous problems that I had with this, and I'll be going over that when I go through the card by card, but there are numerous problems that I was having when playing this deck. I tested it against, I'd say, mostly Palkia, right? Palkia Inteleon, Palkia Kyurem, Palkia Ice Rider, etc. But the thing in common, with decks like that, like Palkia, and other decks like Mew VMAX or etc., is just the speed that they are able to set up at, right? And if you can't match their speed, then you're going to have a lot of trouble and you're just going to get ran over. So, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So to start, we have 3 Regidrago VStar. Awesome card. And then 3 Regidrago V. So the V there is actually pretty good. 220 HP, 3 retreat, which is unfortunate, but it's standard for a Regi. No resistance, no weakness, which is awesome for Dragon. For a colorless Celestial Roar, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. And if you find any energy cards there, attach them to this Pokemon. So pretty good. That's for a colorless. And then its second attack, Dragon Laser. For 2 grass and a fire does 130. And then this attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And don't apply weakness and resistance for it. So pretty decent. But Regidrago there, Regidrago VStar is why we made the deck, right? Because of its versatility. To start, it's got 280 HP, 3 retreat, which is the same again, and same resistance and weakness as the V, right? Its attack there for 2 grass and a fire, Apex Dragon, and it says use the attack of any dragon type Pokemon in your discard pile as this attack. Right, so really cool. So that's why we made the deck, because it's more of a toolboxy type of deck, pull out the right tool for the right situation, etc. And then it's V-Star power there, which is not too bad. Legacy Star during your turn, actually, you may discard the top 7 cards of your deck, and then put up to 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. So that's really good because you're able to get cards that were previously used, right? So it's not just saying it's not saying that you pick 2 from the 7 cards that you discarded. It's pick any 2 that were in your discard pile, which includes those 7 cards, right? Which is absolutely awesome. And then the second reason, obviously, is to get more dragons into the discard pile so you can use Apex Dragon with it. And that is Regidrago. So now we're going to get into the dragons, right? And just some reasoning on why we have them. So the first, which is obviously the best dragon type in the game right now, and that is Giratina Vstar. Then we have Hisuian Goodra Vstar. We have Flygon V. We have Garchomp V. We have Dragonite. And then Regidrago. Right? So, Giratina there. We're obviously there. It's for the Lost Impact. Because you're able to do 280. It does the most amount of damage of pretty much any dragon right now, which is awesome. You do have to put 2 energy into the Lost Zone, but that's okay, right? Goodra there is like the best tank right now in the game, right? With Rolling Iron, it does 200, and then damage done to this Pokemon is reduced by 80, so it's a good little 80 reduction, right? And we're only using these for the attacks. They're not actually to come into play. Flygon there. So Flygon is actually a pretty interesting one. 220 HP. And is actually a terrible starter for the deck. Just because, you know, how do we get into the discard pile, right? We don't have the right energy to attack with it. Right? But let's... it says here we want to use, so you can use Sand Spray, but we're mostly here for Draconic Impulse, which does 160, and if they are a VMAX, it does 160 more. So this is a Mew killer, right? Which is awesome. We have Garchomp there, so we can use Dragon Claw, which does 120, but it's mostly there for Sonic Strike. Discard 3 energy from this Pokemon, and then this attack does 220 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's a 220 snipe anywhere on the board, right? And it's great for knocking out Vs. The Dragonite there, we're obviously, you know, we could use Dragon Claw, but it's mostly there for Energy Hurricane, which does 180. For 4 energy, but we use it as the cost of 3 due to Regidrago's Apex Dragon cost. It does 180, and then you search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So a neat little charge up there, right? And I think it's an attack that you definitely want to use as early as possible. Like you can get the one-hit KO, you know, on that Palkia or that Arceus with the Giratina. But, you know, what happens after that, right? Like, are you going to, do you have anything to recover once that Pokemon is knocked out? If that Pokemon's knocked out, what are you going to do, right? And that's another thing that I was kind of running into, which I'll get into a second, because there's a crucial part to it. Regidrago, there from Evolving Skies. It's there for the 240, right? The Dragon Energy for 240, which is the same cost as Apex Dragon, right? And it's also a good single prize attacker versus things like Blissey Miltank, right? And that is the Dragon types in the list. And now we'll go on to the support Pokemon. Right, and I did have, you know, a few, like a little bit of help with the, you know, with the list. I looked at a few lists out there. Tricky Drims was, you know, pretty good one that I looked at, and then a few others on YouTube there. If you just type in Regidrago VStar deck list, right? You know, just watching some of the videos, and yeah, so that was pretty cool. Support, we got Crobat there, Crobat V for Dark Asset. We do have a Radiant Greninja, right, to draw cards. And we have 2 Diancie there for its ability there, right, which pretty much makes it so your opponent can't use boss's orders on your benched V Pokemon. So, yeah, one of the things that I was running into with it, with the deck so far, right, especially with the Pokemon, is even if you start Diancie, you know, your opponent just knocks it out, and if you're not ready to attack, right, they're just gonna walk right over you. And Not to mention all the escape rope being played, right? So you'd have to get 2 of these out really quickly to make that escape rope play unavailable for your opponent, right? But to do that, you know, you're gonna have to get a lot of Pokemon out and the first, like, you know, few turns, right? Which is actually pretty tough to do because, you know, you want to Gardenia's Vigor at the same time, or draw other, you know, pieces that you need to advance that game state, right? That's the Pokemon. So onto the supporter lineup, right? We do have 4 Gardenia's Vigor, 3 Professor's Research, 2 Serena, a Boss's Orders, a Marnie, and a Thorton. So Gardenia's Vigor, this card's a good card, but there's a huge drawback on this card, and I'm not even too sure if it's actually needed in this deck. Draw 2 cards, and if you drew any cards in this way, attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. And that is the problem. That is the biggest drawback with this card, because you know what? If you play that, and let's say you're playing it right after a knockout, if you don't have that switch or that escape rope or that air balloon to retreat your active into the Pokemon that you use Gardenia's Vigor on, right? You're just not going to be able to attack for a turn, and that is huge, right? If you miss a turn of attacking, right, you are probably going to lose the game. You don't want to be missing an attack after maybe the first turn, the second turn at the latest. If you're having to miss an attack, the odds of you winning that game, it goes down, right? Right after the attack, you want to have a respawn KO. And yeah, that card, I feel like, if you don't have that switch, that escape rope, or that air balloon, you won't get that return KO. Professor's Research there, which is a nice little draw 7. Serena there. So Serena, and actually I guess I'll bring up Boss's Orders too. Serena is more so a versatile Boss's Orders, right? It does what Boss's Order does, but at the same time, right, instead of choosing that option, you can choose to draw until you have 5 cards in your hand, right? So that gives us our extra draw, and it gives us our switching our opponent's Pokemon ability, right? And oftentimes as well, with Boss's Orders / Serena, I wanted to do that and Gardenia's Vigor at the same time. So I guess the question is how can we get that energy acceleration, right? From something like Gardenia's Vigor, but still playing that Boss's Orders or Serena in the same turn. And that's a huge problem for this deck. Marnie, it's a good little draw there, good little shuffle draw. Thorton, right, is an interesting one of. I did see this in the Tricky Gym list, so I'm kind of trying it out. I'm not really too sure it's best, but it is pretty good, I will say. If you have it and you start off with a Pokemon that you shouldn't be having on your bench, so like Garchomp or Flygon V, right? Because you can just Thorton them off into, let's say, a Greninja, right? Or into a Regidrago, right? Etc., right? But then once again, that Thorton, right? Do you really want to play Thorton, or do you want to play something that that can knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon, or accelerate that energy with something like Gardenia's Vigor? And that is the supporters. I will also show that I do play 2 training card here for my stadium. Right, the stadiums, I'm not really too sure what is best for this deck. I do think that training court is a decent a stadium in here, right? Especially when you can combine it with things like Leafeon V, which we actually don't play in this build, which, you know, I'm actually thinking is not so great that we don't have it in here. Right, it actually should be in here, because I think that the recovery and the responsiveness after a Pokemon of yours is being knocked out is actually pretty good. So this is the supporters on the stadiums. So now we'll get to the actual trainer cards, right? And we do actually have quite a bit of search. So we have 4 Quick Ball, 4 Trekking Shoes. Trekking Shoes is actually really good in here. 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Switch, an Air Balloon, an Escape Rope, and a Ordinary Rod. So Quick Ball and Ultra Ball are your Pokemon search, as well as they discard cards. So it's great at discarding dragons. Trekking Shoes gives you draw and then allows you to discard cards that you don't need. So it's really good to get dragons in the discard pile as well. Switch, because it combos really well with Gardenia's Vigor. Same thing with Air Balloon and Escape Rope. And then Ordinary Rod is our recovery card. Right, so if we discard, you know, let's say we use Legacy Star, the V-Star ability there, and discard something that we shouldn't be, like Regidrago V and V-Star, right, we can just Ordinary Rod them back in. And that is the trainer supporters and stadiums. So now on to the energy. So the energy is pretty standard. We do play 9 grass and then 4 fire. Right, we do need quite a bit of energy in this deck. One thing that I wanted to mention as well is that I did have 14 right energy in here, and you know, even with 1 reduced, it still has the same problems as if you remember that the Zacian Zamazenta deck. Right, that was, you know, super popular last year, right? You would draw a lot of energy into your hand, and that still is a problem. So I'm thinking, you know, if you're able to get that Leafeon in here, right, maybe you don't need to play as much energy because you can just search it out. I believe it's a search, correct me if I'm wrong. Which is, you know, absolutely awesome. And yeah, that is the deck. So yeah, so the problems that I was having with Regidrago VStar, right, is that the Respond KOs is actually pretty tough if you're not able to get that double Diancie to prevent the Escape Rope play, right, or having the energy acceleration needed to get another one up after the energy accelerate. Pardon me, after a knockout, right? That's a huge one. And then the other thing too is that playing a supporter like a Boss's Orders or Serena, and then, you know, playing Gardenia's Vigor in the same turn, right? You can only pick one, and that's where you know, I think Gardenia's Vigor fails, is because it does specify to the bench, so you do have to have a switch card too, right? It just requires more pieces between those 3 to actually get that attack off, right? So I don't want to be doing that. I want to send up my Regidrago active. I want to be able to accelerate to it. Boss's orders or Serena, the Pokemon that I want to knock out, and then attack for the knockout. That's the way that I want to do it, and it does. The way that this build is, it doesn't allow me to do that. So that's why I couldn't recommend this build. And as for matchups, I would say pretty much anything right now that's extremely fast. So Palkia, Mew, I don't know, probably Lugia. They all would outspeed this and crush it. So if we can, get those problems fixed, like I had mentioned, then I think we can have a pretty good deck here and perhaps take a couple championships. So awesome. Well, there you go, everybody. This is Regidrago VStar. And those are my struggles with the deck with the current list. I will have an updated list coming next week. So this is actually the first time this week and next week that I'll be showing off the same deck twice. Two times in a row, right? So twice, 2 weeks in a row on the initial version, and then the better version, I guess, the more competitive version. So that'll be pretty exciting. And once again, if you like what you're seeing in the video and like what you're hearing, then like the video and subscribe, as I'm always trying to provide quality content on this channel. And every Friday we do deck profile Fridays. I cover deck from pretty much any format, from the current Sword and Shield on format to even base only, right? That's an old format, and I'll go through the ins and outs of the deck, how to play it, what it's good against, etc., which is awesome. And then Sundays are our opening Sundays, so I'll open up a Pokemon TCG product and give my kind of thoughts on that, what I like, what I didn't like about it, etc. And then Wednesdays are our live gameplay Wednesdays, so I'll play something on Pokemon TCG Online and show the ins and outs of the actual deck, including the deck list and the card by card, right? And just show how it works. And occasionally I'll have an in-person game that I'll show on the channel, right, where I'll be playing like a buddy or something at a local league, which will be awesome as well. So all right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video, and once again, see you in the next video.